This is a test or I'm mixing a thing.
Hello and welcome to a special living room edition of Beno's Bad Bakes. Today I am going to be talking about my experience as a home baker on the Great British Bake Off's Extra Slice. I got in touch with the producer saying that I would love to bring something in, obviously knowing that it will be of questionable quality, but you know. And one of the producers called me and said that the first week was cake week and would I be interested in making a cake of one of my idols. First person that came to mind, only person that came to mind, Laura Dern. I mean, she's the only one I have a t-shirt of that there is no need for any kind of fancy business, it's just her name, it's enough. My initial thought, because it was in my eye line, was that I would make this. So I have this Vice Admiral Holdo pop figurine that I thought would make a very cool cake. It unfortunately couldn't go through because of copyright business, but I did have a second thought, which was, okay, well, obviously this year Laura Dern won her first Oscar, so let's celebrate that. And let's make a cake recreation of the dress. Thinking about the colours, my mind came up with the delicious flavour combination of rose and licorice. Now, I don't even like licorice, I just couldn't think of anything else that was black and could go in a cake. So that's why we ended up with that. On the Tuesday, it was approved and we were told that Cake Week would be filming first, and it had to be ready by Saturday. So the shopping began immediately, and so did the practice cakes, my goodness. I went through 3 or 4, I think, maybe different sponge recipes. Initially the first 2 I made were just plain ones, and then I did 2, one with the rose, one with the licorice. It was a lot of cake. It was like a cake graveyard in the kitchen for a while. And then I found one that I thought would be, you know, structurally sound to hold up the majesty of Laura's form. The first thing I thought that I would do was actually make her torso. And initially I was just going to make a torso and then put it on the dress, so she would be standing there with the dress, and then for some reason I decided to make her sitting on the cake because, well, I think it was the first tutorial I found on YouTube, so we went with that. I made her entirely out of fondant. There was a lot of structuring going on underneath. All in all, Laura herself, in all her glory, took about 5 hours to construct, and that is without any additional flourishes, shininess and or glitter that you can now see. The Friday was when the baking of the cakes happened, and I think I started maybe at 9 in the morning, and I don't remember stopping really. I may have eaten something that wasn't cake and or pure sugar. Genuinely, it's all a bit of a blur. I had to make my own pink food colouring because it turns out the red and pink food colouring has bugs in it, which is gross. So I grated and squeezed a beetroot, as you can see. I had to make 4 cakes, 2 layers of rose and 2 of licorice, and 2 different types of icing. Now, I didn't need to make 2 types of icing, I just did the first one wrong because I thought I could make buttercream with margarine. You can't. That's Beno's top tip from this video. And then I made it with actual plant-based butter, still plant-based butter, but a butter substitute as opposed to margarine, and it came out very nicely. Then rolled out this delicious fondant sheet and draped it upon her to make this dress. These drippy bits, they were initially going to be like an actual cake drip made out of dark chocolate, which I thought I could dye with food colouring, but you can't. There's another tip, bonus tip. So I realised that you could actually paint with food colouring if you add a little bit of vodka to it, which is sort of magic. And then it came out all shiny, so I was like, damn, I'm gonna paint the dress as well. So that's why the dress is shiny, which I think just gives it a little extra pizzazz. So, it's Saturday, it's the day itself. I'm obviously freaking out because I have to transport her in one piece, hopefully, to BBC Television Centre from Kingston, which is quite the journey upon public transport, especially at the moment with the old pandemic. I don't know if you've heard of it. We went and delivered her to the producers, and then we had a couple of hours to go and wander around town, and then we came back in the afternoon for the filming itself. So we spent the majority of the actual filming in like a green room. I think normally we would have been in the audience, but because of COVID and everything, they were keeping everybody separate, but that was pretty swish. The sofas in there are quite squishy. And then when it was the home bakers section, we came out and we were delivered our cakes and we put them on the tables to be presented, but we weren't told in advance whether we were going to be spoken to or, you know, whether we were even going to be featured. Initially they said, you know what, like, there's no guarantee that you'll be in the edit, just kind of, yeah, go along with it. And to be honest, I was just happy for the experience. Obviously I wanted to be featured, but I was just happy to go along for the ride with my other half of Total BS, the S, had to think about that for a second, who had brought some delicious, ordinary looking cookies, as he had been instructed to do. So we put Laura Dern plus cookies on the table, and Tom Allen came out with a very long whiskey spoon thing, which you've probably seen on the show now, to maintain social distancing. And as it happened, he did end up talking to all of us, but he said he had to do it all in 15 minutes, and the man talks very quickly at the best of times, so I don't really remember what I said. I only know what I said because it's been televised. Tom very astutely made the nation aware that I have a harrowing obsession with Laura Dern, and I'm okay with it. And if you've seen the show, you will know that Tim, the S, the big S, he was asked to leave the studio because his cookies were so basic. So that was a win for Team BS. But the most important thing is that this beautiful cake was featured on national TV. We didn't actually cut into her on the show, but we did cut into her when we got home, and we made a Total BS video of it, which I will link to in the description below, so go and see that to see what she actually tastes like, because I know that's what everyone came here for, so sorry to disappoint. I won't be talking about the taste of Laura Dern in this particular video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any ideas for any kind of bakes and you'd love to bake, whether you think that you're good or you think that you're anything like me, go for it. It was the most fun and just worth every harrowing minute of my obsession. Thanks for joining me for this special edition of Beno's Bad Bakes, and I will see you again next time for some actual baking. Maybe. Oh yeah, I completely bloody forgot, because he lives on top of the fridge with the parsley now, but I also made an Oscar, because it was her Oscar's dress, and I can't tell if that's... I hope that's focused. And yes, he has a cocktail stick in him, and yes, he lives in a ramekin. I don't feel like I should have to explain myself. Goodbye.